Okay, so let us start with the first presentation. Okay.
So hello everyone. Today's my topic is about the wasteland is a cinematic vision. How Eliot's poem anticipate modern film editing. Here is the table of content. First, we will going to discuss introduction, then research question and hypothesis, the fragmented modernist poem, then Sergei Eisenstein, Bela Blaz, and Andre Bazin's theory of film structure, then filmic structure in the wasteland, then postmodern film and non-linear storytelling, then cinematic parallels in visual technique, then emotional and psychological impact of fragmentation, the digital age and fragmentation, then conclusion. So introduction, T.S. Eliot's poem The Wasteland, which was written in 1924 22, is a modernist masterpiece that reflects the post World War One disillusionment through fragmentation, shifting voice, and cultural decay. Its innovative style and non-linear structure make it one of the most influential poem of 20th century. So my research question is, how does T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland employ the fragmented narrative techniques that prefigure cinematic editing style, and what impact has this had on both modern film and digital storytelling? My thesis will be T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, a piano read fragmentation, disjunction, and montage techniques that prefigure cinematic innovation, particularly Soviet montage and postmodern film aesthetics. Eliot's poem anticipate non-linear storytelling, jump cuts, and montage sequences seen in film from Eisenstein to Lynch. His experimental approach serves as a visual and intellectual model for fragmented storytelling that defines modern cinema, the fragmented modernist poem. So, The Wasteland is a landmark of a modernist poem that reject the linear narrative way of storytelling, and it uses the fragmentation of collage-like images. It shows rapid shift in voices, time, and setting to create a disorienting yet profound experiences. For example, April is the cruelest month, subverts the traditional springtime renewal, jarring the readers like a jump cut in cinema. The Madame Sosatre's sequence function is the intercut flashback, blending past and present. The Unreal City passage, shifting between individual voices, mirrors a fragmented montage sequence. Then connection to film editing. Eliot's abrupt transitions resemble jump cuts in cinema, puzzling yet engaging the audience. The poem's rapid juxtaposition of high and low culture resembles Eisenstein's montage technique of intellectual collision. Sergei Eisenstein, Bela Blas, and Andre Bazin. Soviet montage theory by Eisenstein. So, Soviet montage theory was basically a type of theory that where some different type of images are put together to create emotional and intellectual effect. Eliot's abrupt images shift function similarly juxtapositioning past and present, myth and reality. For example, Setstone's passage, sudden invocation of the war dead, works like a delicate montage force forcing reflection. Then Bela Blaz's theory of close up, close up in film isolate moment of psychological intensity. Eliot's poetic vividness, for example, typist scene in the fire sermon, function like a close up, capturing isolated existential moment. And Bazin's realism versus montage debate. Bazin favored deep focus realism over montage. Eliot blends both, montage-like fragmentation, yet a deep psychological realism about post-war illiteration. Filmic structure in the wasteland, Eliot's poetic montage. The poem's rapid shift in imaginary and tone mimic cinematic montages. The typist lonely moment versus Tiresias watching resembles cross-cutting between two scenes. For example, the transition from the fire sermon to death by water mirrors a hard film cut, forcing the audience to infer a connection. So we can see that in a poem how Eliot uses different type of images and different type of shifting points to put together to create a meaning, and that is not provided clearly by him, but he leaves it on the audience or the readers. The recurring passages like "Hurry up, please, it's time" function as intertales in silent films, punctuating meaning. Cinematic imagery. Eliot's Unreal City resembles Metropolis, which was released in 1927, where urban modernist is dystopian and fragmented. The London Bridge falling down passage evoke the kind of symbolic destruction used in war films. Postmodern film and non-linear storytelling. Postmodernism in film. Films like Pulp Fiction and The Memento employ the non-linear storytelling, mirroring the wasteland's structure. So this type of movie, there is no clear storytelling, but there are some different type of images, shifting point to create some meaning, which can we see in the Pulp Fiction's fragmented timeline forces the audience to assemble meaning, just as Eliot's readers must. In Memento, reverse chronology reflects the poem's cyclical repetitive nature. Cinematic self referentiality, Mulholland Drive, which was released in 2001, and Charles Kaufman's Syndicate, New York play with narrative instability, much like Eliot's poem. Then cinematic parallels in a visual technique. Kubrick's slow isolated shot, 2001, A Space of Odysseys, was released. It isolates visual moment of existential depth akin to Eliot's poetic tubulex. The the lines from T.S. Eliot's "I will show" poem, "I will show you fear in a handful of dust" line works like a close-up on an objection of existential meaning. Goodwood's jump cuts in The Breathless. Goodwood's Breathless, which was released in 1960, employs the jarring jump cuts just as Eliot's jump between the time of voices and images. The shift from Madame Sosatris to a war-torn London feels like a hard cut between two disconnected realities. So we can see that there is no particular scenes. One cannot imagine what would be the next scene or the situation in next passages. The emotional impact of fragmentation. The wasteland evokes a disorientation, alienation, alliteration, and psychological distress, much like fragmented films. Mulholland Drive, a persona create an experience of a fragmentation similar to reading Eliot's poem, forcing the viewer into an unstable narrative. Poems fragmentation make the audience feel anxiety, intrigue, loss. This mirrors Eliot's world of post-war trauma and existential uncertainty. The digital age and fragmentation. Social media like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram embrace the AI-generated storytelling, embrace the fragmented narratives, echoing the Eliot's technique. TikTok's short clips, YouTube jump cut heavy logs, and AI-driven content create a collage-like storytelling, much like The Wasteland. Just as Eliot's poetry showed the confusion of a broken world after the war, social media's fast and fragmented content reflects the overwhelming and chaotic nature of the digital age. So, in conclusion, The Wasteland function as a montage film, weaving the disjointed images into meaning. Eliot's poetic vision shaped the modern storytelling, influencing both cinematic and digital fragmentation. The reader's role is like that of a film editor, piecing together meaning from fragmented moments. Here are some references, and now you are free to ask question.
So, Bhargav, my question is why does Eliot use multiple voice and languages in poem?
To strengthen his point that there is no such a one point or a state that has this impact of war, but in everywhere there is the same kind of situation.
Bhargav, my question for you, why is the poem structure so fragmented?
He uses a different type of images to show the world, like how it is a situation, and what are the type of feeling that everyone of this that type of people were facing, and to strengthen his point that how his reader should also know that this type of situation or problems they were facing. Thank you.